Hello everybody, Angel Arts here, and welcome again to another episode of Let's Analyze Telltale's The Walking Dead Season 2. Today we will be doing Episode 4, which is the second to the last episode of the season. Once again, I am joined here by Selves Eater Carson, Catalinums, Lucky Jack 20, and Reclusiarch, and we're just gonna get right to it.
Quick then, show of hands, who here decided that they were going to amputate immediately?
You me.
Yeah, all of us did, I think.
Okay,
All
so
of us probably.
I think we all did. Okay, so then we all saw the thing, which
The aftermath.
I feel like, and it shows up, and it starts showing up even more in this episode. It'll become like a recurring thing. I felt like something that could potentially be a weakness for me was that it becomes almost a gut reaction of the minute I even see the potential of being a walker, I immediately say we need to euthanize them. And I feel like that could be a problem for someone like me.
And that happens again, like at the end of the episode.
Yes.
But we'll get to that. So
correct.
I just have to say that I was pretty surprised. Like I'm sure like this was everybody's first reaction. The moment like you said earlier too, Angel Arts, you said looks like amputation does work if you do it immediately. I think everybody's first reaction was, okay, we got to amputate that and just get it out of the way so she don't turn.
Yeah.
And the moment I did that, that screeching scream still hurts my ears.
It's a nice scream.
Yes. And unfortunately, normally she would have a better chance of surviving, but immediately after the deed was done, she got bitten by other walkers, and at that point I was like, oh, well.
That was for nothing.
Not only that,
that's precisely what I thought. Well, that was pointless, so okay.
Well,
not only that, according to the wiki, if you did not amputate the arm, she would actually have gone out there alive, just infected.
Right, and
Which I saw this.
And it's possible for Kenny to have carried Sarita out of that, but then she would ultimately... It would still ultimately result in her demise.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The moment I heard her like freaking out, screaming, and making all that noise, like she's freaking out, it's all her hand is gone. My first reaction is you gotta be quiet. You gotta be quiet. This there are still walkers around us, and they're gonna still eat you if you didn't shut up. I mean, you could still scream in pain, but I don't know if that would have made any difference.
I'm gonna go ahead and bring up the immediate main criticism that a lot of people had throughout this entire episode is that, and I actually agree with them too, is that
I haven't heard it yet,
more than any of the other episode of any Telltale's Walking Dead that I've played, this was the episode that I felt your choices had the least significance. Your choices mattered the least, because I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. Like, you chop off Sarita's arm, she dies anyway. You try to save Sarah, she dies like the next
multiple
hour.
times.
Yeah. You try to save Sarah, she dies within the next hour. You try
to get Jane to bond with you, she still leaves.
Yes, that one I didn't have as much of an issue. It was more things. I mean, as in terms of, it's okay if there isn't a possibility for you to have her stay. It's just because there really wasn't a choice there. It was just you talking to her. But more things like, I thought that if you took the drugs from Arvo, then maybe that would have affected the childbirth with Rebecca more because you had drugs for her. That didn't seem to have any. But it didn't seem to have any. Even if you had the drugs, it didn't seem to matter. Even if you did not steal from Arvo, he still tries to attack you with his group and comes off as a jerk and is like, you stole, I guess, the gun from me, so we're going to steal all your stuff, even though we didn't steal.
You have multiple guns.
That I felt was very illogical.
Yeah.
I could look around and be like, I can look around and you guys don't seem to be in a shortage of guns right now.
And then lastly, when you chose to tell Mike to either help Kenny versus take the water, I was hoping there'd be something would have affected things if you had the water with you or not, and that didn't seem to that didn't seem to matter at all. So
it didn't make any difference from what I saw.
Yeah, so but anyway, I just wanted to put that out there right from the beginning because we're gonna start seeing this throughout the episode. Your thoughts about that complaint, that criticism? Do you agree? Do you disagree?
I actually disagree.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whoa.
For me, the important part is the choices I make, not really what happens after. I mean, that's important too, but the most important thing for me is the choices I make. So, and I think this was kind of refreshing because, okay, so I chopped off Sarita's arm, and I was thinking, okay, now we're gonna have this whole drama, and she's gonna survive, and that's the thing I expected. And then she just dies anyway, like she's sworn by walkers. I'm like, whoa, what just happened? That didn't go as planned at all.
Yeah.
And this with Sarah, you can save her, and then she dies like half an hour later.
Yeah.
Only
Yeah.
shows that a girl like her wouldn't make it in this world. Even if you try and help her, she wouldn't make it. And it would be so easy for them to just like make her like, okay, I save her, and then she's becoming strong, and all that other things, all the bad things she had, but like she was like suppressing all her feelings. That
To
doesn't
be
matter.
cliche.
Yeah, she's becoming like Clementine 2.0. And I
But
think
a little bit
that's I think I don't mind it at all. Actually, I just think it's kind of neat.
So, David, are you saying that it's the episode sort of gave you a wake-up call, saying that sometimes, no matter what you do, bad things are still going to happen, yeah, I mean, is that sort of what you're saying about?
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, how much better? I put a line in my
And sure, they have been, the choices have been kind of become more linear, so to speak.
Okay.
But not as much as this episode. I agree. But if they only do it like one time, one episode like this, I don't mind at all, actually. No.
I want to jump in on that. I want to disagree with David, but I want to agree and disagree with Hark on the complaint.
Okay.
Does that make any sense? Yeah, I agree with the comment that it does seem a little similar. And what I'm going to refer to is like the season 1, episode 4. It kind of was similar. What your decisions were no matter what, were the same. You could either hide the bite mark that Lee got, or you could show everyone. But no matter what, he was going to get bitten no matter what you did. Mm-hmm. And I think her name was Molly. Yeah, Molly. Mm-hmm. You couldn't keep her to stay with the group. She was going to leave regardless. But this episode's decisions were really, I guess you could say, different, where you could either kill someone off now or they die no matter what. That's where I agree with David, that bad stuff is going to happen no matter what, but it's just that it's the decisions you make. Like, do you want to test your humanity? Like, are you going to be a cold-hearted person, or are you going to be a warm-hearted person?
I'll agree with Angel Arts that the choices seemed a bit more just kind of spliced in with the whole general plot of what they wanted, but I'll also agree with Rick Luzark and just say that I saw this episode as like a refresher, just like an episode for me to kind of like, gain back my, like, okay, figure back out again after the little rage session I had at the end with Carver in episode 3, just to be like, okay, what am I doing again? What's my main goal here? It's not to just give in to emotions, to actually like survive and outlast this.
So you get back your innocence, you mean?
I wouldn't say get back my innocence because innocence lost and blah blah blah. But I'll call it the get my crap together episode.
I like that. Kathleen, do you have any opinions on that criticism?
Yeah, this was actually my least favorite episode.
For that reason, or?
I feel like it might be for that reason, but also it just felt really slow after Carver and all the excitement that happened with that. Yeah, I kind of expected some of the characters to die. I mean, with Sarah, I think her name is. Sorry,
Sarah.
Just woke up from a nap, so I'm kind of out of it. But yeah, so with Sarah, I kind of expected her to die. I mean, she just didn't seem like she could ever really get it together to be the kind of person that could survive in that type of world, which is really tragic, but Yeah, she just wasn't really made for that type of world, and that probably just is a statement to her innocence and her purity of character, really. But, yeah, so...
Hark, may I be allowed to ask a question?
Go right ahead.
Kathleen, would you say that without Carver, like, you know, that whole drive that someone is always haunting you, always coming after you, always want to be you to be a part of that perfect family, you now feel emptiness without it?
I'm not sure how to answer that. I'm not sure what, like, answer you're looking for.
It's like revenge. Like, you're always hunting someone, you're always in, and when you get rid of, you fulfill your vengeance, you have nothing now.
I think he's asking whether or not there was a lack of motivation to continue with the plot when there was
exactly
when the main antagonist / Carver.
When the internal conflict was out.
I guess the plot really was for Rebecca and to help her give birth, but it just felt really slow regardless of that. Like, I don't know what it was. I felt like it was missing something. And I think maybe the fact that a lot of those decisions just played out regardless did kind of annoy me as well, because I feel like that's something that was one of our biggest complaints from the first season, and they did the same thing with this season and heavily in this episode. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, let's continue back on the chronological path, and
which is when Sarita gets bit and Kenny rushes to his side. Yeah.
Kenny reacts to your choice, especially if you hacked off Sarita's arm. Kathleen, did you hack off Sarita's arm? Just out of curiosity.
Yes, I did.
Okay, so all of us,
everybody did.
Okay.
Your thoughts on Kenny's reaction?
It was like it was a Kenny reaction.
Understandable.
That in your let's.
Yeah. I mean, I think we can all agree that he's a hypocrite because, I mean, he killed Larry under similar circumstances, but you know, that was even more kinda. He might be alive, and this time we knew that she was bit and just put her out of her misery. That said, I think that he knows that she had to be put down. He's just
dealing with grief in his own way.
He doesn't mean these things he's saying. It's just his rage talking. So I'm like, okay, you can vent on me, just yell, scream, but I know in the end, I hope that he will like, okay, I understand, I'm gonna be reasonable now. But so in that moment, he's just gonna vent. Yeah, go ahead.
It's like rage first, think later.
Yeah, that's totally, because he's like so hypocritical that it's just like, come on, really, Kenny, you're
He's a guy who doesn't.
He's
a guy who doesn't deal with, like, he's not flexible. He doesn't deal with sudden change well. He has a very set, like, goal ahead of him, and he does not like that deviating.
Yeah, and remember, this is the second time he's lost someone he loved, so he's gotta lash out. That's pretty natural, at least if you know Kenny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a suspicion, and unfortunately I haven't had a chance yet to see what happens if you didn't hack off her arm, or if Kenny manages to carry Sarita out of, because I know that it is possible for him to carry Sarita out of that situation, and then Sarita just ends up slowly dying. I predict that he would go back to the same mentality that he had with Duck, where, oh, she's not like the others. You know, she'll get through this. She'll be fine. You all are making it worse. Stuff like that.
I actually did watch someone else's Let's Play where you did save her. She was slowly dying, and he still criticizes you. And like what Reclusiard says is a little bit of a hypocrite. He continues to lash out, and eventually he keeps saying that she's different. She won't change. She's not like that. She won't change. I'm like, God, you know she is.
Deja vu.
Yeah, it's so. I guess. Again, I don't want to keep ragging on Kenny because I know so many people love him, and that's all.
Why do Telltale keep picking on him?
I don't want to pick on Kenny.
He's the punching bag.
I just wish that his character evolved a little more, because again, it's just like I said, he's just behaving exactly the same way he did in season 1, and I kind of wish to see something develop more or evolve more with his character. That's really all.
But the fun part is that he's behaving irrationally. He's not a very friendly person, but he's our only link to Lee.
True.
And that's why
that's
you
true.
you want to be friends with him. I want him to be happy. I want him to understand what's going on. And just come on, Kenny, just pull through.
That's very true.
Come on, I want you to love me again, please.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I just want to say that I was extremely disappointed in Kenny this episode. I think that's another thing that really bothered me about this episode.
Because you're a big fan of Kenny's, right?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Kenny. I actually wasn't a big fan of him in the first season up until like the last 2 episodes. I kind of started to like him more. And I was really hoping, like you said, Hark, that he had evolved more and that he had really, learned from his experience. I think that's something what we all were hoping to see. And him resorting to just being totally irrational and blaming a kid for his problems was quite disappointing. And I think one thing that kind of irritates me about this game sometimes is when people get in emotional arguments just for the sake of adding plot and adding tension to the plot.
Okay.
And I mean, that's something that really irritates me anyways. I think it's a bit lazy writing. When you have people act emotional just for the sake of adding to the plot. And I think it was a big crutch, to be perfectly honest.
I'm going to mention 2 things. One, at the end of this whole episode, I think Kenny started to evolve a little bit more, just by a little bit in my view.
Okay.
But of the overall story, he didn't evolve at all. But number two, this wasn't written by the ones who written episode 1 and 2, which his name was Nick Brecken. This story was written by J.T. Petty and Eric Sturp.
So different writer.
Yeah, different writer. I'm like, this is not the strong feeling I wanted.
Go ahead.
I'll just add quickly with Kathleen. Yeah, there was like at least 2 times where I was like, why are Luke and Kenny arguing right now? There's no. This could happen at any time else besides now.
I think I remember a comment that I made in episode 3 at the very end when Sarita says, "What's going on with Kenny? That's not the Kenny that I know." My immediate response was, "That's the Kenny I know." I don't know what Kenny you know, but that's the Kenny I know.
He loves to beat up people.
But anyway.
But I want to ask, did everybody kill Sarita? Did you have to axe her or no?
I think there was the choice to euthanize or to just run, and I chose to euthanize her because I knew no one else was going to, and I didn't want her turning.
I think I'm the only one then. I think David made a comment on it, you can actually walk away? Oh my god, that's so new. I was like, I know, I wanted to axe her later, I regret it. I regretted my action.
I thought you had to axe her because the screen was kind of getting red on the edges, which usually happens when you have to make a decision that you have to die.
It's specific choices you make. It's specific choices you make.
It's a dialogue choice. If you choose in the dialogue, we have to kill her.
You have to go.
Then from then on, you have to kill her.
Oh, okay.
I think I chose the right one where you can just walk away.
Though.
Yeah.
I think I'm the only one who chose the right one where you could just walk away.
What was the poll on that one? Because I think that was a poll there.
There is no poll for that.
Not that? Okay.
So let's continue on, and the next scene establishes Clementine with Rebecca and Jane. And this includes not only the scene with the cowcatcher, but the conversation that they have afterwards when they're walking together, and you start to learn a little bit more about Jane's background. Thoughts on that scene? On the Jane, I guess for the most part, Jane and Rebecca scene.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that Jane would be like this cold lone wolf kind of character, but she really opened up for me emotionally in those scenes. I did not see that coming at all. I thought she was going to be like this cold-hearted, just mean kind of character, but she wasn't. And it was a really nice surprise. And she's got really beautiful eyes.
It was,
Insane.
Eyes, huh?
Did you see those? Oh man, that's beautiful.
the whole idea with her sister, I guess, was like sort of a sting or whatever. It wasn't like it affected me because I wouldn't let a game affect me like that. But because I also had a sister named Jamie.
Oh.
Before.
Oh, I did not know that.
I'm not going to say anything else about that because that'll just bring everything down. So I'm just going to quickly change subjects.
Yeah, go ahead.
But the name drop in that did remind me of that, and I was like, oh, dang.
I want to say that I don't know why Rebecca got scared. I mean, I can understand it's human emotions that you get scared with, like, there's a bunch of monsters, walkers that could eat you alive, but she was covered in gunk, and I was wondering, why is she scared? Like, you know you could be safe if you walk carefully, and I supported Jane in her action where I'm glad she used the cow catcher thing. It really brought back some good memories for me. And I'm like, oh, this woman I want to love now. I want to steal her away from David now because she's so my type now. And
you also have competition over here, just so you know.
You know, no, you can't be in the front track.
Oh, great! Now we have 3 freaking. Oh, jeez, me. And more than ever in this episode, I felt, and again, we keep bringing up every episode. I know what Chuck said. Oh, it doesn't matter what age you are, but I kept looking at it, saying they're all these adults, and they're all coming to the young girl for emotional support and for all this stuff. And it still seemed like, because I don't even care if it's like, I don't even care if it's the zombie apocalypse. I don't see that happen in real life ever when people will just open up and break it down like that. And
to a little kid?
Or like expect the little girl to be like that. I think only Clementine could really pull off something like that.
Yeah.
To somehow have that effect over people.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's my bit.
Go ahead.
I was going to mention that it's just that I loved that when you got out of the zombie horror thing, you had that small conversation where you learn she had a little sister. You learn how Rebecca is pretty much getting into the position where she's ready to have her kid, and as it showed in the teaser. And you really start to open up to Jane, and you're like, and she opens up to you too, and you could say it was the like what Angel Hearts used with Luke and Clementine, the like little sister big brother relationship. I thought I started to feel like Jane and Clementine was the big sister and relationship.
Yeah. Well, Jane ends up taking Clementine under her wing, and I think this might sound mean, but I think she sees in Clementine what she unfortunately wasn't able to see in her younger sister, because her younger sister gave up a long time ago, according to her, and Clementine is just so different, and I guess she felt that she has a second chance with this new pseudo-sister. And if she can do something to keep Clementine alive as long as possible and teach her the tools that she needs, then it might help to lessen the pain of the Jamie situation.
Yeah.
I do have a question about that, but I'll bring that up when we get to that chronological conversation.
Okay. And again, I agree with David about being surprised with Jane opening up so quickly, because up to that point, I really saw Jane as Jack from Mass Effect. Like, they just seemed almost like the exact same person, and it takes a long time for Jack to open up in Mass Effect, and Jane started sharing things, in my opinion, a lot sooner than I thought, so that definitely surprised me as well.
Are you including episode 3, like with episode 3 and 4 and her opening up?
Yeah, I include that too.
Oh, okay then.
So after you start learning a little bit about Jane, you finally make it over to the Civil War Center Museum, their meeting spot, their meeting spot, and you see Bonnie and Mike. Or as David puts it, oh, it's the traitor and the black guy.
I'm part of his name, okay?
I love that comment he made. It just made my day.
That's so going to be a meme now.
What was that again?
Hey, it's the traitor and black guy. I have a name,
you know.
New sitcom now.
Oops.
He couldn't remember their names. It's okay.
Yeah.
So I called him. I called him Lee 2.0 for a while. That's all right.
I don't see him as Lee 2.0 though.
I don't know. He just never mind. Whatever.
I don't.
He does. Yeah.
Oh wait, what?
We're all terrible.
But
But then you're asked because again all the adults turn to Clementine to do all of the really tough stuff, like talk to. Well, first of all, talk to Kenny.
Let's talk to Kenny, the really now unstable, angry man holding a revolver. Yes,
who is also blaming Clementine, blaming Clementine for what happened to Sarita.
Yeah,
so.
Would you really put a kid in that scenario? That's my thinking. You see a guy who's mentally unstable. He's holding a gun, even looking at it, and you're gonna send him the kid that actually caused the death of Sarita. Are you really that smart to actually just send the kid there? You have to be insane to do that.
Yeah, I was not fine. I was like, what?
Yeah.
I didn't buy that either. I was just like,
will you at least send someone with me? Like, have two people go talk to them one-on-one, not just.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But I almost gave up on Kenny right there. I was like, he is pushed to like the edge where he is no longer stable. He is cuckoo, and it's not really a good idea to be around him anymore. I have almost given up on him after that conversation. Ooh.
I was, again, more like, okay, he just needs to vent. Come on, just lay it on me. I got broad shoulders, blah, blah, blah. Yes, you're irrational. I'm just going to give you this. Just shower. Come on. Yeah, that was me.
I thought he was, like, broken because I thought that would have broken him because not only did he go through the exact same thing as, back in Season 1, but he thought that maybe he could have redeemed himself, could have maybe climbed back out of that nightmare of what happened in Season 1, but to just have it happen again must have been like being spat in his face after trying to achieve happiness. So I thought that would have broken him.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Lucky Jack and just say nothing else to that.
Kenny is the kind of person who is very dependent on needing something to protect in order to find purpose in life. Because he was broken after he lost his family, and then he found Sarita, and then Clementine. And then once he lost Sarita, he again is broken until he found something new to protect and take care of, which is the baby. So it's that pattern, I just noticed that he's so reliant on something like protecting something, and that can be dangerous because things you want to protect in a zombie apocalypse tend to not stick around for very long. So.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking, like, when is it just like for the dog scenario? When is it Kenny gonna actually get dependent on a dog and he wants to keep that dog alive? I just want to see how that's gonna end. Oh no, Chucky, you've gone. No, you've died. I loved you so much, buddy.
So
I was seriously afraid he was gonna lose it for a second. I was just like, oh my god, he is acting like a crazy person.
Yeah.
And
He was.
his eye patch, and he just looks really crazy right now, like with his eye missing and blood all over his outfit. I'm just like, oh my god, he's gonna lose it again. And thankfully he didn't. But
I gave him my all. I tried to talk to him.
I think we all got a chance to talk to him, or we had no choice, right?
Well, no, I know, but I'm just saying that with my choices, at the end of it, even though I knew I wasn't gonna be able to change his mind immediately, I still felt like I did what I could.
Yeah. I liked how David, and I think I did the same thing too for both conversations that you end up having with Kenny. Silence, actually, I thought worked very well because you just let the man talk. And I thought that was the most non-threatening thing that Clementine could do right now.
Clem?
Is just
Snarky
well, yeah. I didn't pull out the snarky Clem. I just
especially in the second time you meet him.
Yeah,
we'll get to that later. But that's just it was such a nice scene with silent treatment.
Yeah.
Oh God.
So after that, Clementine and Jane go off to try to find Luke. And
do they go off to find?
To find Luke.
The more survivors of the group.
And then she teaches Clementine some of the tools of the trade. Stop me if you want to talk about any of this stuff before I continue on. They end up finding some walkers, some dead fresh walkers.
Very fresh.
Take out the license. Then they find Sarah's glasses.
I made the biggest mistake ever. I don't know how many of you guys saw that. I was like calling out for some.
I called out. I tried calling out too.
Oh, I made the mistake.
Because I knew she'd be terrified hiding, but if she heard like a familiar voice, she may have been like right under their noses and would never have said anything unless she heard someone she knew. So that's what I tried doing.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I felt I made the biggest mistake ever, and I was like, wait a minute, no, I wanted to click the other one. Oh God, I'm gonna die in a zombie apocalypse now.
I intentionally did it, and I feel.
But it just, what got to me in when I looked at the episode later is, wait a minute, how did those glasses get under the zombie's body? That's the bigger question I had.
I do wonder how that happened, but.
To make you want to stay there, to get the plot going, because then you hear screamings from inside the mobile park, and then...
Yeah.
I think the screaming would have happened regardless, even if she had the glasses or not.
Probably, but I mean, it just makes you... Otherwise, I think they would have just kept moving, or... I don't know. They just put it in there to say, hey, here's a connection, so you hear screamings, and you guys go right around the corner, and...
And my prediction came true.
I'm going to say immediately, I was a mean guy, because in my Let's Play, I cut off the recording right before, like, you can see the bottom of his jaw, but I cut off the recording, so people would have to wait till the next part to see who was the walker trapped in the vent.
Yeah.
Some evil like that. But anyway, so you see...
You see Nick.
You see Nick, if he was still alive.
My prediction was true. I knew Nick was going to die in this episode.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you had saved him.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, he survived 2 episodes, so I figured this was probably the one where he would go. So
I just didn't expect him to die like that. Ooh. Well, and I'm thinking, did he die because of a bite, or did he die because of the wound on his shoulder?
that's wrong. We don't know.
I'm assuming
we just see him.
I'm assuming he bled out because of the shoulder that got shot. I'm assuming.
Right.
Yeah.
Could have been.
That had to actually hurt.
Which makes So eventually, they go through the whole process of trying to get to Luke and Sarah.
The knee trick I thought was cool.
The knee trick was cool.
The knee trick.
I learned that in junior high. I should have mentioned that. A girl actually kicked the back of my knee. I'm not joking, and it knocked me down.
And she's tried to stab you in the back of the head.
We used to do that all the time. We used to do that all the time in school, where we just like go up to people and just kick them in the back of the knees and rock away and just.
Is that a junior high thing? Is that a kid thing? Really?
No, wait,
no, that's like a evil kid thing.
Yeah.
Evil kid thing.
But now, quick.
I like how this is this Nick thing. It's just like a side note, because anyone else really cared about him that much?
I cared about him.
I saw him,
okay.
He's on the way.
Just went up, killed him, and then okay, whatever.
Make way for Luke and Sarah.
I don't know. I mean, it was sad he died, but I don't know.
I loved Nick. I wanted him to live, but I knew he was gonna die.
Oh crap! I forgot about something. Back in the conversation that you and her are having while you're walking up to the mobile park, she mentioned, because it was just something I had just a question about, because I just didn't understand what she was getting at when she was saying where she would go to the park with her and just pretend they were friends and not be sisters. My guess was that she just didn't feel that she was a good sister, or that she just didn't seem like she did, like something about. I just want to make sure that I was understanding that properly, so that I didn't leave it with the wrong.
Go ahead, Kathleen.
Oh yeah, I think that comment wasn't that she didn't want to be her sister. It's just that sometimes there's a difference between being a sibling with someone and being their friend. So I think she was saying we were more than just sisters during that moment. We were friends.
Right.
So. Yeah, you don't necessarily have to be friends with your siblings, so you can hate your siblings.
Sorry, I just was confused and just wanted to see if someone could help me with that. Thank you.
Yeah.
And that. Oh yeah, I was gonna mention that it's just that I think I know what Lucky Jack is pointing out and Kathleen's pointing out. It's just that when you go in in a dangerous situation, you should go in with a friend status, because if you go in as a sibling, let's say if you lose that
Emotional.
so-called sibling, it hurts even more. And instead of just a friend you could take because you knew him for a while but wasn't as close. But a sibling hurts even more.
And now on a really
Unless
different.
you hate them.
Yes. And now
Unless
on
you
a-
hate, I don't love you, Connor. Go away.
In response to what David last said about Nick, the reaction to Nick's death, again, I just want to reiterate what I've been saying all throughout this entire season is that I just have a hard time really growing attached to most of the characters in this season compared to last season. So I do agree with David that Nick's death was pretty much an afterthought because I just never really bonded with Nick, just never had the chance to get to know him, and I think that they should have, even though we all knew, like, metagame-wise, that he was going to die eventually, it would have been nice if they still included significant conversations with him.
Yes.
Well, again, probably was like an afterthought because since his death could have been, from the very beginning of episode 1, they probably just were trying to find quick ways to.
You had one conversation with him, which was optional, an optional conversation with him in episode 3, and it would have been nice if they gave him more, because then maybe I would have cared about his death more in episode 4.
Because I missed that conversation in episode 3, so I have no connection.
I mean, I felt more for Jane after our conversation from like in the forest than I did for Nick.
Exactly.
Even though Nick had his moments in episode 1, but after that, just like faded away.
Even though Nick was around for more episodes, I felt that Clementine interacted with Jane more and had more meaningful conversations with Jane, even though she was only around for an episode and a half.
Yeah, an episode 4.5. Well, more like almost 2 episodes,
almost.
But
yeah.
It was odd because like the most I ever bonded with him was back in the very beginning of episode 2, and even then that was kind of a sort of a shallow game to know him.
And I just want to get to the scene where it's all those zombies or all those walkers at the trailer, and I was actually shocked. I was actually pretty shocked. Not at just how many there were. Don't you correct me.
Sorry, Tui.
I wasn't shocked at how many there were. I was shocked at like why haven't they broken down the door? First off, like if as you saw, like when you got into the mobile park, there was nothing blocking them.
Yeah.
I guess that does make sense.
True.
That's what threw me off.
Yeah. A few plot holes, a few holes here and there in the plot.
They sprayed zombie repellent on the other side of the door.
that's how it worked in
We don't have any more zombie repellent. We're doomed.
Note that a large group of full-grown zombies weren't able to break through, but a 12-year-old girl was able to kick it down. A 12-year-old girl kicked it down.
That surprised me. When I started kicking, I was like, oh, they're probably going to give me a more clever.
But she has the spirit of Lee, emerging from her.
That's true.
It was the spirit of Lee.
Like brothers all over.
She just Fusro Dodd that door down just with the breath of Lee.
Thank you.
You say that it was weakened by the zombies, and he just.
That's true.
I have to admit.
That's how I say it.
Yeah,
that whole scene with you trying to draw the attention away and then get in, except for the kicking the door scene down, I actually admit that was actually pretty smart. Well, you have to actually plan around, like look around, and say, what can I do to get their attention? I tried so many things until I got to the zombie on the horn thing.
Well, I tried the horn immediately, but they said, then she said, make it be longer. I was like, okay, I can't I can hold it, and then so then I thought the zombie thing.
It's been a. Go ahead.
Yeah, what puzzled me was that suddenly it stops. Honking, did he decide not to be dead anymore?
He just rolled
anymore. I just gotta go away. What happened there?
Yeah.
Now, one last thing. I guess one quick dial back. When you're first looking over and you choose not to do the double tap to kill the walk in front of you, does he come after you guys if you don't do that?
Yeah.
I think he does. Yeah.
Because I know she compliments you for noticing the dead zombie to just kill him immediately. And I was like, oh, good. He was actually trying to pull a dead space on me. I'm glad I did that.
A dead space.
But
and then we get into the trailer,
horn puzzle solved. Yeah.
Yeah, we get into the trailer.
We find Luke.
Yep, and Sarah, and
and the trailer.
Sarah's seen better days.
Yeah, so that whole scene with Sarah and whether you rescue her or you don't rescue her.
I actually tried to reach out to her, and I was so heartbroken when I tried to give her a hug. She screamed and hated and didn't want me to give her a hug.
I smacked her.
I was
Well,
just about to
obviously,
say.
yeah.
I'm so glad that I was able to slap her. I'm just really glad.
You got one slap
This
in.
episode gave me that.
Gave you the ability to slap.
Satisfaction. You abuse
that's
little
like-
girls.
So I actually convinced her to go with me, and the last way that you get her to go with you is to slap her,
Yeah,
and
that's what
I
I
was
did.
like, wow.
I got her.
It was cathartic.
Like, did anyone try to reach out? Because I know for a fact, Hark didn't try to reach out to her.
Oh, no, I did.
Oh, you
no,
did?
I did.
Did she
I
put
didn't.
the glasses on?
I didn't No, I definitely did not outright leave her. I actually tried very hard to get her to come with me.
I couldn't picture
What kind of a
Hark
monster do you think I
leaving.
am, Carson?
You are a monster. Oh, she has to learn how to take care of herself. Bye.
But it was like the first two. It was like the first two choices was me trying to be nice, but then
Yeah.
third one was like, get out. I'm sorry, really, you're gonna live. But then the guy said no. I was like, oh, okay, damn. Well.
Yeah, it's just that I felt like in this episode, and I'm going to chew you out for this later, Hark, I just felt like you have to give people the right to survive. The moment they understand how life is precious and how important it is, you make them understand that they need to fight for that life, or they
Well,
need to go for it.
I
And so I felt like, okay, I need to get her senses out of the way, so I tried to reach out. She got some of her senses back, but needed more, so I slapped her, and I felt a little bit of a child abuse at that moment.
in my defense, I mean, I definitely, like I said, if I really wanted to leave Sarah behind, I would have just outright done it. But I tried to convince her. I tried to talk to her. I tried to do everything that I could to motivate her or emotionally get her to come with me, and it just wasn't working. Also added to the fact that Luke himself had also been trying, according to him, for hours.
Yeah.
So it wasn't for a lack of trying.
Well, they
Now-
didn't have that pinky promise.
So
Now,
did anyone else manage to get her out of the trailer?
I
did.
got her out.
yeah, it was
Damn it,
Steven and I who
you
did.
feel like you gave up. You gave up. I was like, I just give up. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Sarah.
Well,
Oh,
no. Go ahead, David. Go ahead,
I think,
David.
yeah, me and Hawk, we're on the same page here, because
I'm just gonna stay over
we tried, but it comes to a point where you have to decide if your own life is worth it.
You didn't say
Saving
anything
this
that
person.
when she was getting eaten alive. You just like, oh well.
Well, no, because I mean, I think I want to.
Sucked. It did suck. Yeah, go ahead, Logan.
I was saying, in their defense, isn't it like one of those two choices to whether or not you want to leave immediately or try and like convince her to leave? Isn't that one of those two choices?
Yeah, and we both chose to try to convince her verbally.
So they did try.
Yeah, we did try.
Yeah, I thought that if the longer I remained,
Yeah, you
the
mentioned
more
this.
dangerous, it became for me and the others as well. So at a point, I just thought, screw it. It sucks, but I'm not dying as well for this girl. It's better that one get out and not both than both dying.
So you're taking Jane's advice of not letting her drag you guys down, then?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I did. I tried, but it wasn't enough.
So there
I
you go,
just love
Carson.
how
There you go, Carson. 1 point for him in his romance with Jane.
I
Taking
hate
your advice.
you so much. I hate you so much, Logan, but I'll forgive you for now. It's just that, like, the moment those two left, like, they left Sarah to die, I just love how she just goes, Clementine? Just that last scene where I was like, oh, that has to be hurtful right there. That has to be hurtful.
Well, for me personally, like, I did eventually see the option to leave her to slap her. And again, to my defense, it had never even occurred to me or even crossed my mind to slap her in order to convince her. Because I guess I'm just not a violent person. I just don't really naturally come to that as an option. And B, I didn't think that would have even dawned on Clementine either. So just because that option appeared, the fact that I didn't even think about it, I thought that if I just selected it, that was metagaming at that point, and not role playing. Because as a gamer, I'm pretty sure the game is saying, leave Sarah and she dies, or slap Sarah and she lives. I figured that's what was going to happen, but I purposely didn't choose to slap her because I thought that would be metagaming. So, and the other reason was, even if it did cross my mind to slap her, I had no reason to believe that it would be any more effective than when Carlos had slapped her. Because
we could argue.
Let me finish.
Okay.
Because the last time Clementine saw Carlos slap, the last time Clementine saw her get slapped, she just shut down. So, you know, I tried the hardest that I could while still staying in character as much as possible without thinking game mechanics. So
two things. One, I just always had this gut feeling, and my gut feeling, I do agree with Kathleen, is you always wanted to at least see this girl slapped. I was kind of happy I slapped her. I was kind of, in a mean way, I was happy to slap her, but at least I got her on her feet. And the second thing is, I'm going to pull up the poll here. The poll for, as of right now, it's today of August 6th. Pragmatism left Sarah at the trailer park. 71% chose to save her, and 29% chose to leave her.
Okay.
When I didn't say 71% left her, I was like,
tried to save her.
And I don't like that wording because David and I tried to save her. Like,
it wasn't just abandoned. They could have said 79% failed to convince her.
Failed to convince her instead of.
When the game ended, I think for everybody, I even saw this at David's video. It showed that it was a split vote. Like most wanted to leave her, some wanted to choose to take her along. Yeah. So that's what I like. You have that diverse choosing.
Okay, because I agree totally with Angel Arts and his, avoiding metagaming, because I still think that's a big problem with this entire season, was that we were playing a character that we had already learned how they would react in the first season, as opposed to giving our own character so that we could more... Because otherwise, I assume if it was a whole new character that we didn't know about, Angel Arts could totally have chose the slap thing, because that could have been how he perceived that new character would be like him.
Yeah.
But since we're trying to be more like the person that we watched develop her own isms and things with how she would react to certain situations, that kind of, he chose to not do metagaming, which I totally understand.
Go ahead, David.
I'm just going to bring up that depending on, who was... I talked about this at great length in my LP, that depending on who it was in the trailer, man, if it was Luke instead of Sarah, I might have tried longer to get him out of there. Mm-hmm. Or if it was Kenny, or let's just say it was Lee, or a family member.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Then I would like to stay until the very end.
Yeah.
But when it came to Sarah, because I didn't have that connection really with her, I felt that, this sounds horrible when I'm saying it right now, I felt that I wouldn't sacrifice or endanger actually my life for hers.
Her time was not worth risking your life.
Yeah, that's right. If it was a sibling, I would 110% risk my own life to the point of suicide to rescue them.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't do it for a
stranger.
Yeah. So it puts worth on a people's life, and I don't like that I'm doing that. But that's one of the uncomfortable situations you find yourself in
these
a
days.
Apocalypse. Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta mention that when the moment, if you choose to save her or choose not to save her, I originally noticed this, that, and I do like how Clem pointed this out, like Clementine in the game. She pointed out that Jane was at first eager to help out, and then the moment she saw Sarah's condition, she just snapped and just switched gears.
We gotta go, because she saw Sarah for what, she saw Sarah for the type of actual behavior that she was.
So, I wouldn't say she's completely not cold-hearted. I mean, there's still that cold-hearted element that she is there still, but she does seem like she wants to help out for what's best for her and anyone else that she cares about.
Actually, yeah.
But I think it was because she saw Clementine, she didn't want Clem to go through the exact same thing she went through with her sister.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she was acting out of experience. She saw, okay, this happened to my sister, she's not going to make it, let's go.
Yeah.
That's what I saw.
I don't think it's cold-hearted. I think David. I don't think she's necessarily being cold-hearted. I think she's just trying to be realistic as much as possible. And yes, in her experience, I think there was a 98% chance in her mind that Sarah just wasn't going to come with them. And so, is it worth? Again, it goes with worth. How much are you willing to play the odds? Are you willing to risk your life for the 2% chance that she might actually listen to you? So
yeah. And we're gonna get to the forest walking scene.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, because when she's walking, she looks like she's like twitching a bit, like that. With the forest.
Yeah, Sarah. I have seen what happens when she sticks around, and her state is when there's a point where you talk to her, and she's like, "When my dad comes back, can we go back to the cabin again?" And at that point, I'm like, "Oh boy."
Jeez, no.
Oh jeez.
Oh boy.
Other than that, I don't know if anything. Other than that, I don't know if anything happens really. I think other than the fact that I remember I said to Jane, "Oh, would you leave me too?" If that happened there, because I was trying to question her like how much I could depend on her. Because while we were walking, it's like, "Oh yeah, we can bond," but then seeing how she reacted, I was like, "Well, hold on now. What's gonna convince me that you would not do that exact same thing for me? If I was in that same situation, would you just leave me?"
But would that be a bad thing?
I wouldn't blame her.
She saved herself. Yeah.
I wouldn't blame her at all. You know.
Well, for all this, okay, and I guess it was just me being selfish, because like for all the times I was trying to save people, I would expect someone to watch.
David said something.
Stop being so selfish, Logan.
David said something. Well, in response to that, Logan, David said something during his LP that I actually agree with him. Is that if I was in Sarah's situation, I would want you to leave me. I would want you to leave and so that you can survive.
Yeah.
Then I would slap you, Angel Arts, and then I would carry you out with.
Then you would slap me.
And then I would.
Let's go!
Died.
I'm sorry.
Logan would be like, "I secretly have always wanted to slap Angel Arts in the face." So
I like how you worded that. David said something in his LP that I actually agreed with. Okay, that's okay. That's all right.
Are you implying you never agreed with him?
But
I
yeah,
agree with him a lot.
But yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Then I
think we should get to the scene where they got back with the group.
Okay, right.
Logan, did you want to say anything before we move?
I was going to say another thing I learned about me in this episode is a huge weakness is I want to save people, and I know as much as as much as this episode was wanting me to make Clem even more hardened to just survivalism before everything, part of me still was like clinging desperately, kind of in a way to try and redeem myself for the last episode, just wanting to show I could still save people and be nice and all that.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead, Kathleen.
I think another thing too is they really kind of pushed the whole "do you really trust Jane" thing with this episode. I had more than one person ask me that, and I know I'm pretty sure Luke and pretty sure Rebecca says, "Oh, do you want to?"
I think it's Bonnie.
Yeah, Bonnie. Yeah, Bonnie.
Yeah, Bonnie.
It's like, hey, you should follow her so that she doesn't run away or something. Mm-hmm. And I actually, I thought that she was a trustworthy character. I just was kind of worried that she would bail. Yeah. Because I figured that was going to be something that she was going to do eventually. But I think it really shows that she's a good person, that she waited till things dimmed down to bail. She wanted to stick around for the hardest parts and help everyone. Yeah. And that really made me respect her, that she stuck around for the most unpleasant bits. So. Yeah.
I find it funny that this episode was very Jane-centric. And this is episode 4 of season 2. Episode 4 of season 1 was very Molly. It was all about Molly, and there's a lot of parallelisms between Jane and Molly, and
well, we know it could be Jane.
Yes.
All the cool, strong female characters leave us. I don't know. I'm starting to...
They know you're around, David, and they just want to run away from you.
Probably. Wow. Thank you. Wow.
Somewhere.
Whoa.
1-1.
I'm guessing.
We're tied.
I'm guessing that somewhere in this world there's this sanctuary filled with all of these short-haired female
Strong.
kick-butt women,
Yeah.
like that Molly and Jane ends up finding, and they just
They just go to this.
they have
haven.
this
Sounds like
Amazonian.
heaven.
Yes,
Yeah.
like
You guys just go ahead. I'm gonna stay
it's
here.
this Amazonian paradise.
I could see. I don't know if I could see Molly getting along with Jane or just freaking being like, "Get the heck out of my face," sort of. I don't know. They seem again. I agree.
I
so
would
many
picture it like,
parallels.
hey, you gonna be able to survive? Depends. You like my little pickaxe? Yeah. You want to meet my knife and all that cool stuff and stuff. I would picture it like
Okay, I'm totally shipping them.
Yeah.
Probably already been done, but okay.
And
So wait. So we get there, and then
Well,
is this when we go
I
to
had
the
one
tent
more.
with
I had
Penny?
one more
Oh, no,
point.
sorry.
I had one more point, and I think that this is a very the overall theme, I think, of this episode is preparing Clementine, and as much as I hate to this, preparing Clementine to be by herself. It just just seemed like what the purpose of this story, this particular episode is to allow her to get to the point where she has to be ready to be by herself, which is why I'm starting to wonder if at the end of episode 5, she's going to be by herself. And I hate to say this, David, she might be by herself with a baby. We'll see.
Oh,
Maybe.
man.
yeah, and
So-
I saw it later. It's just that I remember this very well. It's just that I know what Hark's getting at, like that she may have to be on her own, and my question is like, is that like a prediction you're making now, or is that just like, oh, that's what's going to be in season 3?
I feel like they're placing so much emphasis on preparing Clementine for that it seems like foreshadowing to me. I feel like that's just where the plot is going right now.
Yeah, Clem will be the new Jane and Molly.
Part of me doesn't want a season 3.
Yeah.
Considering how negative we're all now talking about all these episodes and realizing I'm feeling like this is only going to start going downhill. But that's something I think that should be saved for episode 5 when we get there.
I'm very positive, so I'm all for it. So.
There's still an episode left.
Well, Hawk, I remember that wasn't Clem alone in episode 1, like at some half of the story at least.
No, you find her alone, but
I actually like that about episode 1 is all the alone time. That we have with her.
sorry, I mixed up the episodes. My bad.
Bad Logan.
No, when you said episode 1, I thought you were talking about season 1, episode 1. I was like,
No.
Oh, okay.
Kathleen, you said you really like the alone stuff. The parts.
Yeah, I liked it. I think, I really loved episode 1 because it just kind of signified her really losing her innocence, just having to be like, okay, childhood's done. I'm alone and I have to protect myself. And I think the biggest indicator was when, the dog attacked her. That was like a symbol of like her innocence being like, no, I don't want you anymore, because the dog should have been like the most innocent, like loving thing in her life, but it was like vicious. And so I really liked that about the first episode. I think it added a lot more tension to it. I don't know. Yeah, I thought there was a lot more meaning to the first episode.
Part of it just seems sort of like, I don't know. Part of it seemed almost quiet and calm. Just me, none of this drama and trying to force people yelling at each other. Just me, and trying to survive in the wilderness.
Yeah, there needs to be some more better developed characters that don't just resort to emotional outbursts. In my opinion.
Well, the good news is that episode 5 is being written by the guy who wrote episode 1, season 2.
That's good.
That's good. I look forward to that.
It'll be much better, hopefully.
I like this episode.
This
is one of my favorite episodes, actually. So
we'll talk about it at the end.
Yeah.
I liked the Jane parts, but other than that, I didn't like much of this episode.